What if the biggest threat to your neighborhood isn't crime, politicians, rising prices, or developers? What if it's the people who live there? Tonight we're asking a question that might make some listeners uncomfortable. Are communities falling apart because of outside forces or because too many people have stopped caring about the places they call home? Stay tuned.
Are you ready for some controversy? Yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Let's get unfiltered with Cycle 4081.
Home should be your peace. That includes your neighborhood. We will discuss 10 things that ruin a neighborhood. Some of you will get offended. Some of you can relate and will not be offended. These things are just some of the things that ruin the neighborhood. So we have some guests that's going to pop in, call in guests. We have Paul the Matrix, and we have Wirtz here who will be popping in and out. But we're going to discuss basically 10 things that ruin a neighborhood. So we're going to get right into it. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Pretty
good.
I'm doing fine.
So the one good thing about this is that we've all lived in different neighborhoods, different areas. We all have different experiences. We lived in apartments, homes, the whole nine. We lived in the urban jungle. We lived in, the no shoes wearing country, and we lived in the suburbs. So we have a good wide perspective on what ruins neighborhoods. And we've heard all the things that, you hear in the radio, TV, social media about this and that destroys our communities. But we're going to have a heart to heart, basically what really destroys our community. So I'm going with the first one. And this one is really, really annoying to me. Littering and illegal dumping. I mean, I'm not just throwing a little trash, and we're talking about the whole nine. So basically a single piece of trash may not seem, it may seem insignificant, but we're talking about widespread littering. And basically it sends a message that nobody cares. So once an area appears neglected, and we've seen it, additional neglect often follows. So my question to you guys: why do some people litter despite knowing the consequences? Words, you can go ahead and start this off while you're here.
I think because some people don't know the consequences, they don't understand the consequences. I think sometimes it's cultural.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people just don't care. It's what they're used to. They haven't been taught.
When you said cultural, what do you mean sometimes it's cultural?
I came to learn over some time that in some places there are sanitation issues. So they were used to literally just throwing trash on the ground. That was how some things were done. So I think that there are some people who have continued, I guess, that type of way of living here because it was cultural in areas that they lived. And not just other countries, but also cities, different neighborhoods, per se.
Okay. So I think when most people think cultural, they think is, like ethnic cultural. So you're basically saying the way of doing things have been passed down in a particular area over and over and over again.
Both. I think for here in the States, part of it is the way people do things because there's no excuse.
Right.
But I think in some other countries where that is what was culturally done or done for the region because there was no sanitation or limited sanitation, the habits was to throw trash on the ground.
And
gotcha. That's what some people,
I got you.
learned how to do. So it's kind of hard to maybe break out of what you were used to doing in another country.
Okay. What do you say?
Yeah. And
Or go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say that I came to recognize that. I took note of that when I was in Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
and there was trash all over the place in different areas. And we had some trash to throw out, and the guy was just like, "Oh, just throw it on the ground." And it was hard to do that.
Right.
Damn. But what he explained was that they um there's certain areas where they pile it up like in the middle of the street or whatever, however it was, and they um it was burnt. I can't remember if it was in the street or where it was, but it was like certain areas that were piled up and it would get burned. But but a lot of it, like say the water bags that we would have, people just drink it and throw it down on the street. And that
Mm.
was the norm.
Okay.
But it was because there's no sanitation.
Now you also mentioned that people don't know the consequences. Are we talking about they don't know the legal consequences or the other consequences that include ruining your neighborhoods and living in slop?
Yes, both.
Okay, both. Okay. I'm
Some
gonna have
people
to.
don't understand how it reflects, like um how it can affect your wealth.
Mm,
People who necessarily have not invested financially into a community may not understand how um trashing it
right.
can bring down the value.
All right. In Shaft 629 jumped in there, and I know we had a conversation not that long ago, reference to the whole littering thing and how it affects communities, and also how it can get people fed up in their communities. I don't know if you want to jump in there and give us some light or shed some light on that part.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
It
okay.
took me a second. I couldn't. I'm on my phone doing it. I apologize. Um, you guys were talking about littering,
Yeah.
and but one of the things about littering that kind of drives me crazy is it's not just that the people don't really care about their community, and I apologize if this has already been repeated because I just came on. Um, but it's not considered something that's serious even by law enforcement, and even when police officers and stuff try to enforce things like littering and so forth, it's kind of what they call the broken window effect. The community gets angry. Why are you bothering him for littering? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? However, when you start letting things like that go, it adds to the decline of the community. Because if you saying, okay, it's all right for you to litter because it's not that serious, then what's next? All you doing is you're building, you're adding on top of it. Just the same as when we say marijuana is the introduction drug. Well, guess what? Starting and as silly as it sounds, but when you start letting little things like that go, it begins the decline of the community. And this is the way I look at it. Because first it's just a soda bottle can in a street, then it's cigarette butts. Then it's okay, I can do this because the police aren't going to bother me. I mean, that's just the way that I look at it in that aspect. I mean, there's a lot more involved, but I mean, as far as littering, I think it's about taking pride in your community, number one, and number two, if you're living in that community where there are people who are afraid to say something about it, then I think law enforcement or police should be able to enforce that without being ridiculed by the community saying, "Oh, that's petty." So I'm just going to leave it there and just hear what everyone else has to say about it.
Well, I'm gonna have to agree 100% with that. Go ahead, Paul.
Huh?
You wanted to chime in on that?
Yeah, I agree with. all the comments, but I just want to make some points here. Now, when we talk about these neighborhoods, are we talking about um, worldwide? Are we um, specifying um,
We, we,
black neighborhoods or
we're talking
black
about
communities?
we're talking about the hood, like where every
Okay,
one of us
okay,
was born and raised,
okay,
basically.
okay. All right, all right. Now, I heard a comment about Haiti, right? And I agree with that, but I want to make two points. You will never see this in Japan or China. And I bring that point up because they value the infrastructure and they value um, um, how perception or how things are seen. Now, if you look at the hood, if you look at the hood and you look at the history of the hood, sanitation was never a big, it was never an issue because they didn't value the hood. They didn't value the community. So sanitation was always the last thing to be picked up. It was left there for days, for weeks, you know. So when people are in these communities, they see this. They see this. They see this over they see this over years and years and years. So what they see is that our community ain't worth nothing. So then they develop this mindset that if they don't value it, if they don't give a damn about the community, why should we? Not saying it. I'm not saying that that's a justifiable mindset, but I'm just saying I'm talking about the psyche and mindset of people when they see this and they say the people don't care about the community. Then they start saying, well, if they don't value the community, if they don't give a damn about us, if they don't care about sanitation picked up, well, hell, why should we? Now, the other gentleman did say about the pride, having pride in the community, and that's where education and things need to be taught that, you know what, this is your community. You can't let the outside world or outside external circumstances dictate what happens in your community. You need to take a pride and accountability, responsibility for your community and how it looks, because what that does is that sends a positive message. I just want to say that.
Okay, so let me ask you, any of you, is littering a sign of personal character? I'm going on the comments you guys made. Is that a sign of personal character or poor community standards?
I think it's a little of both. I do. I really think it's a little of both because um, poor community standards will eventually seeps over into personal character and vice versa.
Okay, I can give it that. Now, going back to what Shaft said, should fines be increased, like for littering? Is that a way of fine tuning that problem?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think I do agree with the fine thing because they screwing us with these red light cameras and these speed cameras all day every day. So I do agree that we should increase some of the fines, but also I think that if they are, if they are found littering and so forth, I think community service should be something that they need to do. If you can't do the community service, then you get a heftier fine. If I catch you throwing, soda bottles, and mind you, littering isn't just food items, or people throw out mattresses in the
Yeah.
middle of the
Yeah.
street. We've seen it. You know what I mean? I think fines are good, but let's be realistic. The people who are doing it, you're not going to find them anyway. I mean, you're just not going to find where they are. 9 times out of 10, even if they have a license or any type of ID, it's going to be their mother's house somewhere. It's not going to be in that community. You're not going to find that individual to even find them. You know what I mean? I think you should catch them and make them do community service, and then if they don't show up for it, then they found in contempt and let the judge do what he has to do, whether it's let him spend 7 days in jail or so forth. But again, I just think that we have to start somewhere. I'm not an opponent. I mean, a proponent of sending everyone to jail for everything. That's not the key. But I think that if you're going to throw out trash in the street, you're going to throw out toilets and everything else because you can't find a way to dispose of it properly, then I think community service would be more of a hindrance than a fine.
Okay, I can
Because
I
I
agree with
mean,
that.
that's what I
I agree.
believe.
I agree. I agree.
You have to let these mother effers, these people know that there are people. This is their job. My mother lives off of Park Heights in Baltimore City, and they have people that do come around and they pick up trash and so forth. Right? That's what they get paid to do, and that's understandable. But there are some things they can't pick up. And I live in a city as well. Trust me, the resources in the city has diminished greatly. Like there used to be a time for bulk trash, and I'm telling you this because I just experienced this 3 days ago. Bulk trash used to be once a month. Now it's every 3 months, just about. I just called 311 because I had some things in my basement that I want to dispose of. I'm like, okay, when is the next bulk trash pickup date? September. Dude, if we still
Wow.
in June, it's September. Okay?
Wow.
September. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't have enough people. I don't even know. But I will tell you the services has diminished. I used to get my street cleaned in my block twice a month. Now it's once a month. So when these people feel the need to want to litter and put a black eye in my community, make their ass go out there and pick it up and pick up everybody else's stuff too. Now I'm gonna stop real quick, Psycho, because I don't want to take over because I can go on a rant and you know that. When I was when I was a child growing up, again, like I told you, my parents live off of Park Heights. Every Saturday, we had to wake up in the morning and clean our block. We had to pick up, and now we had a bar slash liquor store literally about 50 feet away from our house. So when they went in there, they would drink their beer and throw the bottles out right there. Every set, so littering is I can't stand it because I had to pick up their crap all my life until I had to move out of my parents' house. Every Saturday, man, 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun came out real hot, picking up trash after these mother effers that feel like I'm just gonna leave it where I see it. Get out of here, man. I'm done. I'm not gonna say nothing else. I'm
So
quiet.
that goes back to what Wirtz was saying culturally. So you had, when you were younger, you had a cultural norm that every Saturday or whatever day you would go out there and clean up in front of your house. And we can remember back in the day when even the businesses were coming out there and clean up in front of the business. You don't see that you don't see that anymore. But going by what you said, should residents confront people that they see dumping trash? Because the police aren't going to be always around to see that either.
Yeah, yeah. I think, man, my parents are elderly, and well, not elderly, but they're in their 70s, and they are not the people they once were. So they're not going to say anything. In fact, when I would go in their community or in their area, and if I saw a car sitting there too long or a car with no tags on it, I would call it in because at the time I was a law enforcement, and my mother would get nervous. Oh Lord, don't call them. They're gonna think it was us. So I think a lot of the older people. I mean, I think a lot of the people, period, feel like if they call the police because of our culture of stop snitching,
Right.
if they call the police some kind of way, they're going to find out and someone's going to come over there and do some damage to their property, scratch up their car. That's the type of, you know, that's what they believe is going to happen to them. There's going to be some sort of retaliation. So they don't. Now, to answer your question, yes, we should. I'm not afraid, but I also carry a gun.
Right.
They don't carry a gun, and they're old now where that type of confrontation worries them, and I understand. But
Right,
yeah, we should
right.
say something. I mean, I think the least we could do is address them in a respectful manner and say, "Hey, man, could you pick that bottle up you just dropped in front of my door?" And if they say "F you," yeah, now you call the police. You probably, we got ring cameras and stuff now. Just hey, yup, that mother effer right there. He dropped it right there. I mean, it's one of those things.
So
Yeah.
what's the solution to get around that part where people are fearful of reporting those little things? And also, let's throw in this too. I think now in this atmosphere, people are kind of hesitant to call the police on a lot of things because they think the police are going to arrive there and amp things up, and then next thing you know, lives are lost over
Yeah.
something minor. So, you think there's a solution to that?
I'm sure there is one, but I'm not smart enough to figure it out.
You know what? You know what? I'm sorry. What's my man? What's your name again?
My name on here is Shad, but we can call me Dimitri.
Chav. Chav. Well, I like what you said, and I do agree that um the community needs to play a bigger part in policing it. Like more community we should say with community groups that go out there and you know you know not get on people but encourage people to hey pick up your trash, this is our community, we live here, this is our spot, um if they don't want to do it, you hey, you call it in, community service, because just like you said, picking up trash, because most people can't afford to fine, or just like you said, most people are not going to be in the place that if they get served for a fine, they're not going to be in that location. But I tell you one thing, I tell you, when that judge, when you get assigned that community service, you gonna start change your attitude, But I really think the community, like community watch, neighborhood watch,
Hmm.
policing your community, beautification projects and things like that.
So one of the things that I noticed that going back to the cultural aspect and also the fining aspect, I think if there was an aggressive action to look at some of the personal property, the private property, and the business area, and see that area that's filled with trash and everything, and actually target the owners. Now, the key to that is, like you said, everybody can't afford a fine. However, if they can't afford a fine, I bet you they can afford to go out there with a broom and dustpan and make it a regular
Absolutely,
routine to clean up in front of, if they just cleaned up in front of their space. And we used to say that
absolutely.
in my communities, like we had one day per month, everybody at the same time goes out there and cleans up just in front of their space, not just your property, but the street in front of you. So when people do that, you automatically, the entire neighborhood can be cleaned up in a matter of basically an hour. So I think that's probably more effective way. But now for you, do you think that the greater responsibility belongs on the individual or the local government? Because I know somebody said that they didn't have the street sweepers come through, and you mentioned back in the day where they didn't have trash collection as frequent as they should, and the bulk collection thing. So who ultimately bears the greater responsibility, the individual or the local government?
If, well, who does the bulk of the responsibility? I think it falls on the individual. Um, but we do have an executive branch of government to enforce this stuff as well. I think ultimately it does fall on the individual. What you think?
I agree. I agree. So
I
Works and
do
I,
too.
we had a conversation about I think yesterday, day before yesterday, we was talking about snow removal and whose responsibility it is and why it would make sense that it would be, even if it's not your legal property, but why it would make more sense for the residents who's next or adjacent to that property to go out there and remove the ice and snow, because the local government is not going to have the resources to actually do that in a timely manner and actually as efficiently as somebody who lives there that sees it every single day. So I also agree the greater responsibility really belongs to the individual. And then if there needs some help, then they can push the local government into helping them, like providing trash cans, like I know Baltimore City did and Baltimore County did. They provided the recycling bins for those who was able to go out there and pick them up, and having a bulk pickup. They had the neighborhood grants where they would provide a free dumpster day, or where the community could come out there and and we did one in our neighborhood like every July, and it was very successful. So I think that's how communities work hand in hand with local government to resolve some of those things. But ultimately, it's on us.
Right.
All right. So
Right.
number two,
Oh,
neglecting property maintenance. Okay. A poorly maintained property can affect neighboring homes, property values. I think Wertz mentioned that. She alluded to that earlier, and the overall perception of the community. So question is, should homeowners be required to maintain certain standards? I think we all can agree on this one.
Yes.
Definitely. Take care of your stuff. I mean, take care of your property. That's your property. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not the local government's property. It's you live there. You take care of your property.
Right.
that sounds fantastic. However, within Baltimore City is not a homeowner city. And I understand we're not talking about Baltimore City in general. I mean, just Baltimore City. But Baltimore City is a renter's area. So who does that responsibility fall on? Unfortunately, because it's not primarily homeowners, renters don't always take pride in their neighborhoods. And that goes back to even the littering, because I'm not teaching my child or my children to take care of their neighborhood in this particular house. It all is connected.
I'm
That's
agree
why I say
100%.
now if it's a renter, you say it's a renter state or whatever. Now that falls hand in hand with the property manager and the residents. I mean, it should be
Exactly.
shared responsibility.
So what typically
And it
happens,
really boils down to the homeowner. It
right?
goes right back to the homeowner, because even though there may be a majority of renters in Baltimore City, for every property there's an owner, and that owner should be responsible for their property, be it who they hire for property management, or if they're managing the property themselves, making sure that the tenants are properly taking care of the property, or they are taking care of it the way that they should as an owner. So in the end, it still falls on the owner. Have a good property management company, or do a better job of being a direct landlord to your tenants and
Outstanding.
enforcing and making sure whoever you put in
Absolutely.
is going to take care of the property, because
Outstanding.
that's a part of the problem.
So let me ask you something, and I don't know if you guys live in a HOA or whatever, right? So, or let's say you don't live in an HOA, because I think that's kind of taken care of. But let's say you live in a regular, normal, privately owned neighborhood, single family, whatever. When does personal freedom end and neighborhood responsibility begin? So you had that one, give you a scenario, you had that one or two homes in your community that always is a nuisance of some sort, whether they leaving stuff on the front lawn, they have a whole bunch of, extra, household items in their backyard, everything that you could think of, like a Sanford and Son situation. And let's say they feel that they should be able to do whatever they want on their property, but where does
I like Sanford and Son.
you do you big dummy? But
It
where?
ends where it starts affecting other people's properties and
Okay,
property values.
okay, and then all right. So how would that affect other people's property?
The look,
But yeah,
the look,
I,
vermin, all types of stuff.
I was waiting to hear that.
I,
The vermin.
I lived in the HOA, and I remember I would go outside. I can admit I was always. No, I wouldn't say that. I was probably I would go outside and I would see everybody out there cutting their grass and things like that. And I look around like, oh man, now I need to cut my grass because I'm not going out. I ain't gonna be the lawn that's uncut,
Right. You don't want to be that guy
because
that everybody talk about.
uh, it's not about my personal freedom. It was just my sense of pride because I had a nice house. I'm not gonna have a messed up lawn, and I'm sitting in every house around me is their lawns finally manicure lawns and things like that. So, and it was just a sense of pride.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on that in real soon, and I was going really is about curb appeal. But when we talk about cities, should cities fine owners of neglected properties? This was a conversation that I had with someone recently about a neglected property.
They absolutely fine people for neglected property. However, it goes back to that broken windows theory. While they may fine me for my grass growing, I can have an abandoned city building right across from me, and the grass and the trash is on their property. And they don't maintain their property because they feel like, hey, this property is in this particular neighborhood. Who gives a darn about it? These people in this neighborhood are not going to call and they're not going to complain.
And we see that over and over and over again. And it's so funny because before I retired, I kind of handled neighborhood complaints, and that was one of the biggest things. And I would have to, a lot of people were hesitant to tell on their neighbor or somebody in their neighborhood. So I'll say, all right, well, just send it to me, and I'll make the report. And they can hate me all they want. I'll take that heat. But what you said, that is a very important thing. And these neglected properties, how often do we see people reporting that to I guess the local code enforcement?
I do it. I do it all the time.
You do it all the
You
time.
can ask my girl. I have a 311 app on my phone. I drive down the street. If I see cars with no tags, I report them. If I see grass high, I report them. If I see trash, I'm a snitch, man. Listen, I'm one of them people. I'm telling because my grass is cut every 2 weeks. And listen to me. You was talking about the snow. I was working down there in Woodlawn, remember, and we had short changeover.
Right.
It snowed, and I had to come home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and be back to work at 6. I didn't shovel the snow because you have 6 hours from the last thing of snow in Baltimore City.
Mm-hmm.
I come back home, they wrote me a ticket because I didn't shovel my snow. You know how I feel about that? I'm angry. They
Right.
wrote me a ticket because I let a friend of mine park his car, his unregistered vehicle in my driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I figured it's in my driveway. They're not going to bother it. Wrong. Got a $300 ticket for the car being in my driveway unregistered. So yeah, I snitch. I tell on everybody, and I do it because you know what? And I'm gonna tell you about Baltimore City because Baltimore City they don't do that in the poorer communities. They come in the homeowner communities and they screw you over. We pay anyway. They do that. So I ride through wherever I'm driving. I have my app on my phone and I'm ready to rock and roll. I take pictures and everything. So yes, you asked me, are there people who do that? I'm that person.
Good.
I'm that person.
And you know
I
what?
And
tell
I'm
on
the
everybody.
female version of it.
Yes, she
I
is.
call myself a black Karen. I'm the black Karen in the neighborhood. My kids tell me I'm doing too much, but whatever.
But you know what?
I'm invested in this neighborhood.
And that's the key, what you just said. And I think that's what we need, more people like that in our communities to actually be more, vocal or take more action. They don't have to be vocal, but just take more action. But going back to what the Matrix said, right? He mentioned how everything looked, and he didn't want to have that the one with the uncut grass and everything. How much does curb appeal matter? Huh? That was Demetrius?
That was me.
No, I mean, I said Paul, the Matrix. P. Jizzle, the Matrix. But yeah, so how much does curb appeal matter when it comes to, your neighborhood. Now, I want to specifically ask Wirtz this because I know she's she's really big on that.
How much does it matter?
Yes.
It matters a lot. That's like your introduction. If a home is up for sale and somebody's coming in to take a look at that house, but the first thing they're greeted with is trash on the corner or those what is it? We buy houses signs all on the
They
on the
irritate me.
property,
They irritate me.
or yeah, or dog poop, as we know about.
Yeah.
You can't even walk to the home because across, on common grounds, there's nothing but a whole bunch of dog poop.
Right.
Or you have the house down the street that's next to your community that has grass that has not been cut all season long.
So let me ask you a
We think
question on
that
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 one.
stuff doesn't affect, but it does.
Since you mentioned that, and then this is for everybody,
Hmm.
but specifically for you, can one neglected property impact an entire block?
Oh, definitely, I think it can, especially when it's the big house on the corner. When it's the only single family home on the corner of your community, and your community is townhome community. You got one single family home that has a whole bunch of property, a whole nice little plot of land, and then the next thing of homes is your community. It's the one single family home on the block.
Well, not only
And
that, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
What I was going to say, well, when you have that house on that particular block that may be messed up or messy, it teaches other people how to treat your neighborhood.
Hmm.
Oh, they have
They
trash
don't care.
everywhere. What's the harm
Yep.
of throwing this bag of chips out the window?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, but and what I've learned or discovered from my experience, just having to be in a lot of different neighborhoods, is usually just one house on a particular block. It might even be one or two houses in an entire neighborhood that can actually bring down the value of your neighborhood and your property. And that's, I think, as homeowners, that's what we care about as well, because that affects our pockets. But
Yep.
no, all right. So number 3, this is the third one. So we went over littering, illegal dumping, and neglected property. So number 3 on my list is excessive noise. So noise complaints are the most common neighborhood disputes. What one person considers entertainment, another may consider harassment. And I can tell you this, that was one of the biggest complaints we would have, is the noise from parties or cars being started up early in the morning and stuff like that. So my question to you guys: should people be able to enjoy their property however they choose?
Absolutely. Before 10 o'clock.
Before 10 o'clock.
Within reason, yeah,
Within reason.
within reason.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, how about let me give you a scenario. This is an actual community complaint. Every morning around five something in the morning, the neighbor revs up their cars because they're getting ready to go to work, but they have those cars with the modified mufflers and all that other type stuff. And every
Preach,
morning,
preacher.
yes, every morning they do that, and obviously it wakes up the neighbors who don't have to get up at 5 a.m. So is there a limit to that when you want to enjoy your property
Yes, within reason.
Yeah,
within
within
reason?
reason.
Okay.
It's
Hmm.
yeah, that's a
It's just
I
respect.
yeah, yeah. I deal with it every day, honestly. And
Mhm.
it's it's one of those things because I mean I have this Latino family across the street from me, and it's not about race, but she has this nice Toyota Camry. You
We live in
know,
the same neighborhood.
probably a white. She has this nice white Camry, but they modified the muffler and stuff. So it's like my alarm clock. I know exactly every morning when it's time for her to get up. I know it's time for me to get up. So, and that's part of the reason why I don't really complain, but it is very annoying when you got. I'm like, it's not like it's an old car. and you're trying to, fix it up, make it look nice. This is a modern vehicle that you modified just to agitate me. That's the way I feel about it. Um, but I do believe that people should enjoy their property, like the lady said, within reason. Um, I this is America, and there are certain things we have to deal with. But sometimes,
But
I
let me.
mean, I don't.
But
Like I said, I mean,
how much noise is
there
too
has to
much?
be an answer. I'm just not smart enough yet.
No, but how much noise is too much noise?
Man, I should not hear your car going. Blah, 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 blah. I shouldn't hear that. I'm sorry. I mean, my next door neighbor has a boyfriend. He has a Hellcat, and he makes it starts up, boom, and he's gone. You know what I mean? When you letting it run for a moment or two, just to, I'm not sure why you warming it up. It's summertime, but you're out there and it's just making noise. I believe that's unreasonable. I'm done.
All right, so now I heard from two of you. Do you think that noise ordinances are enforced fairly, like in particular neighborhoods?
Um, let me hold on. Let me let somebody else talk. I'm gonna be quiet.
You can go. You can hit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
no, because in Baltimore City, I can only speak for where I live. Baltimore City does not respond to anything. Okay, point an example. A few weeks ago, I was rear-ended on Arkansas Terrace and Ricestown Road. The driver license was suspended. He admitted, and the car had no insurance. He admitted it. Okay. I called 911. This happened approximately 3:15 in the afternoon. I knew they weren't going to come. So I had an appointment. He didn't do any damage really. So I left. Baltimore City Police called me at 5:30 in the afternoon, asked me if I still needed them.
Oh gosh.
That was two. I lied to you not. It was 2 hours. I have it on my phone if you don't believe me.
Wait, but I'm gonna
That's
laugh
what
with
they
that one.
did. And as far as the noise complaint you're talking about, I have a new neighbor across the street also. Okay. They moved in and I guess they wanted to have a party. They had a big old DJ. They were playing music loud, loud, loud. Okay. So 10:30, 11 o'clock, I'm like, okay, enough is enough. I called 911. I called 311 for that, whatever. They never came out. They played that music well until 1 o'clock in the morning. Baltimore City never came out. Okay. Now, again, I'm telling you, I live in the city. I drive and I walk through my area. There's police out sitting around all the damn time. They sitting on that gas station lot. They sitting on the corner. They sitting at the grocery store. They just didn't show up. It wasn't that they didn't get that call. They just didn't show up.
They didn't think it was serious
It's
enough to.
not, and that's the again. I go back to law enforcement because we're living in a different time. We're living in a
Right.
time where that broken window theory no longer exists. It's if it's not, and especially the mentality of these young officers in Baltimore City. They feel like if it's not a homicide or a shooting, it's not worth their time. And you know as well as I do, Psycho, Baltimore City don't even respond to car accidents unless the car has to be towed
Right.
or
That's a
unless
tragedy.
whatever.
Yeah.
I can tell you 1,000 stories, but the answer to your real question is it enforced equally? No, it's not. You know why? Because I live in the Forest Park area. I don't live in Roland Park.
Mm,
I don't live in Charles Village. I do not live in Federal Hill. I live in Forest Park. And the
right.
only thing they respond to is that damn golf course.
Right.
Anything else, they don't care. My taxes is high as hell. But guess what? They're not coming to show up here. They are not. They
Two
don't
of
care about noise complaints. They don't care about your accident. They came to my house when someone broke in my car and stole my police radio. They didn't even uh um um fingerprint anything, man. They just went, okay, all right, goodbye. And I was law enforcement.
right.
Get
That's
out of here, dude.
yeah.
Don't ask me that
That
question
that's
again.
plain laziness, especially when you know what could be done or should be done.
But that's the subculture now
Right.
of the Baltimore City Police Department,
Yeah.
laziness. Because they're in their mind, if it's not a violent crime, they're not needed.
I want to go back to something that I think two of you actually connected with, right? And you mentioned the neighbor. You think culture influences what people consider acceptable noise, and that could be parties, people just outside on the front lawn, backyard, cars, whatever. Do you think culture influences that? What we consider, acceptable noise?
I'm not sure if it's culture or just the way you were raised. If because I believe that black people, we do have our culture of going to church, listening to certain kinds of music and so forth. But you and I had the same culture, so to speak, Glass, but we raised differently. So what I consider to be inappropriate, your mind is, what's wrong with that?
Right.
I have a friend of mine who was a BPD officer. His wife, me and her was talking, and I said, I really hate when people are driving down the street. Now, culturally, we're the same. We listen to the same stuff. We had the same ideals. But I said, I hate it when people stop in the middle of the street to pick up someone when there's clearly a parking spot or a lane for them to pull over and park so people who are actually driving can ride through. And I figured that would be a courteous thing to do. Move your car to the side and wait for the individual coming out of the house, right? Her
Right.
idea was, well, why?
Make you
Why
wait.
should I have to pull over when they're coming right out?
Right.
They're gonna come out, so you want me to wait 5 minutes like you have to wait 5 minutes because you're afraid that if you actually pull into that spot, you're gonna have to pull out. You rather just go straight forward. But
And
so
guess
I
what?
don't think it's culture. I think it's just the way we were raised.
So I'm gonna say this just by my experience. I say culture does influence somewhat, and let me give you an example. When you have people that move from the urban area, let's say maybe they was in the projects or they were in a really tight urban area, then they move out into the suburbs and they have some space and some land, right? And one of the first things that they want to do is what? Have parties. And then when they have the parties, they have the all the space. The parking spaces are crowded. They move. They have the guests parked too close to their driveway, or even blocking other people's driveways and stuff like that. And now you have a noise. And I'm giving you that from my own personal experience. I had, let me see, one, two, three houses in particular that used to blast music so loud that literally I thought it was coming from my house. And I gave them a break on it, so I didn't really care too much. I said, all right, well, they out here, they're enjoying their property, whatever. Maybe somebody next door to them, if it really bothers them, they'll call the police. I wasn't getting up in the middle of the night, walking, down the street to address anybody. But I think when I hear those complaints, whether it be from the job or from what I've seen, is usually that's the culture from somebody moving from a place where they didn't have the physical ability to have certain things, or they lived in an area where there was constant noise. So when they moved out to another area, they didn't have they didn't think about, oh, this might be disturbing to other people or is not the norm. So I do get that, and sometimes it takes people to go out there and confront the neighbor directly. Some of us can do it, some of us can't. I know one person on this podcast who will.
Who is that?
Yeah.
But Glass, I still think that's a. I don't see that. I mean, I don't see that as cultural. I still see that as just the way you were raised, the environment you were in, and that's the way. I mean, if you were
But
raised to be
isn't that
trifling, that's
culture?
what you are.
But isn't that culture?
No,
Yes.
I don't think so.
That
But
that may not
I mean,
be
you
that may
you
not be
tell me
black
what you
culture.
believe.
Yeah, that may not be black culture or whatever, but that's a culture because you live in a particular area where it's acceptable. Like
Oh, so
say,
that's like
Mhm.
so it's a subculture.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. So Yeah, I think we can all really comment on that, and because we've had our experiences with it. But all right, my last one for this particular part, when this is part one, which really irritates me: vandalism and graffiti. I hate that. Now, some people view graffiti as art, and I agree with that. Depends on where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Others see it as destruction of property and a sign of disorder. So,
Mm-hmm.
is there a difference between street art and vandalism? I'm gonna go with Works on this one because she and I particularly went to a place in Toronto called Graffiti Alley, which was a tourist attraction. So I want to get her opinion on that as well.
I think it's I think it's art. It's all art. But in terms of whether or not it is vandalism, is did you have permission or the authority to place that art where you placed it? So that's,
Right.
I like graffiti, even sometimes when it's vandalism. But
Oh
I don't think
no.
it's
Oh
right.
no.
I didn't say it was right,
But you like it.
but I do. I like art in general.
Oh
So
no.
Let me tell you.
when we're driving down the street, like I can think about old New York, how the subways used to be filled with graffiti and stuff. I loved it. I loved it. That's vandalism, but it was still art.
So
Wow.
let me tell you, when I drive through certain areas, and I'm talking specifically here in New Jersey, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, right? And I see graffiti on buildings, and it's not in a way that you would suggest that it was, put there purposefully,
Tiring.
right? I'm talking about the names, the tags, and all that other type stuff, whatever. The first thing that comes to my mind is, and I've said, I think I might even said it to you. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, they should increase the fines if they get caught, and maybe if they start cutting off people's hands, then maybe there'll be less graffiti.
Wait a
Graffiti.
minute. Oh,
Listen,
hey. You
listen.
should, you should cut off their feet. Never mind. Go ahead.
Hey, look, Nubs. Listen, the
Cut off their hands for spreading their
listen.
artwork.
You know why? Because it's a crime and it's destruction of property. Everybody does not want that in their community, and because once you have that in there, it invites other people to do the same thing. Now, where I can say is acceptable, and going back to Graffiti Alley in Toronto, they had a specific place that people went, and it was a long, like an alley. It was a long place where everybody did their graffiti, and it was artful, and whatever. Keep it there. But if I have to go to the corner store and I see, Pablo, on the side of Mr. Jean's store or something, some other graffiti on top of a building, I hate that, and there's no excuse for that. And if it was me, and I'm telling you, this is my personal feelings about this. If it was me, and I was the ultimate emperor, there'll be a lot of people running around here with nubs. Okay,
Wait a minute.
that's just
You're
nubs.
taking it too
What would
far.
you? I'm afraid to ask you. What would you do with the 6 o'clock boys or the 12 o'clock boys?
Oh, they be pancaked. No, I'm gonna tell you. Speaking of which, we talk about the graffiti and the noise, whatever. The first time that I was personally affected with that, the 6 o'clock boys, or for those who don't know, the dirt bike riders that ride through the middle of the street and just basically take over. Right. I had a fight. I had a mental fight, not to quote unquote accidentally turn my steering wheel to knock one of them off those bikes and start a chain reaction. I really did. And I said, you know what? It's not worth it. Even though they were making it unsafe for everybody, I really had a fight deep down inside not to, give them a bump here and there. I hate it. So I think the problem when it comes to society, we accept too much. And then when you accept too much, people will actually take more than what you
Yes.
accept. And that's the
Yes.
problem. It's like a downward spiral. So even with the graffiti, I don't know why they do it. I mean, I do know why they do it. Obviously, there's a gang element into that. Some people want to express themselves, but yeah,
Yeah, sure. I don't want to hear it.
He's
yeah,
just saying no. I'm not agreeing with him.
Sorry, no, Glass. I wasn't talking to you.
Oh,
That was she's sitting here. She's listening to it, and I forgot to mute you. I apologize because she was like, "I know why they do it." I went, "I don't want to hear it."
go ahead. No, I want to. She know. Come on,
I don't
chime
want to
in.
hear nothing. Tell her to log on her own phone. Listen, so I wanted to say this to the young lady. Is she from Baltimore or?
She is not.
Who,
Oh,
me?
okay. So
I'm from
I
all
was
over.
just. Oh, okay. I was just going to tell you, we have a graffiti way or graffiti row here in Baltimore. It's
Yeah.
on North and Howard Street. So if
Hmm.
you ever decide to come through here, you can have fun and watch all of that. Well, that was done legally, so that's all good. But
I've
um,
seen it
oh, you have? Okay,
and I
okay,
like it. I
okay.
like it.
All right, cool,
Now, I'm not
cool.
going to say that some of the graffiti isn't, good art. There is the point is like what Bert's alluded to earlier before she went off to La La Land with that, that New York tagging trains and all that other type of stuff. There's a
Beautiful.
place for that, right? So if you're gonna designate an area where you can, do whatever you want to do and display it as art, yes, it is art. But once you start putting art on places where it does not belong, is no longer art. That's vandalism. Period.
I agree with that 100%. However, look at the neighborhoods that the arts in quotation marks is located. That all goes back to, I hate to keep saying it all goes back to that broken windows. You have this household that's a mess, that makes the noise, that, just stair steps on it. And it's all connected. So no one in that neighborhood, that particular house does not respect their neighborhood. Quan and them can go out there and make all kinds of noise. Now, Quan and them is tagging the block, and it's all good and well because no one in that particular neighborhood calls 311 or whomever in order to file a complaint because they are scared what's going to come down the pipe.
So
Unfortunately, within Baltimore City, the police do not respond.
yeah.
Sometimes you call 911 in Baltimore City and you get a hold message. Please don't hang up. We'll be with you in a moment.
Same thing in Baltimore County now.
Yep. Same deal.
Yeah.
I've experienced that in Baltimore County 3 times. So yeah, I
Hmm.
agree. But let me ask you something. While we still have you here, do you think parents should be held financially responsible for the vandalism that their kids caused?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
Absolutely. Because you didn't teach your children how to respect things. Guess what? Somebody needs to pay. And it needs to be your trifling behind.
Okay. Anybody disagree with that?
I disagree.
Nope.
But before I disagree, let me hear from Paul. Paul, what do you think?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Your your
Oh man,
your kids out there tagging everything, right? Do you think that parents should be held responsible for the your juvenile vandals or your delinquents?
Listen, if my kids are out there tagging everybody's stuff,
Your kids, your neighbor's kids, your cousin's kid, whoever.
I'm beating their ass. I'm beating their ass.
that's right.
They won't tag another thing in their life. They won't even take art class anymore.
Now, Paul, you have old girl over here cracking up.
Listen, because I heard because here's the thing. I heard Tasha say that she loved art and graffiti and New York street art. If it's not on the canvas and if it's not approved, that ain't art. That's vandalism.
Exactly.
And I do. And I love that they express themselves. Don't express it on no buildings. Don't do that.
Right.
You put it on some paper or canvas or right on your wall.
Or the D train.
That's right. And it's not in affluential neighborhoods, it's in the poorer communities.
Look, right on your wall. Watch what happened to you. See if your mom and dad consider that art.
Right.
They did, unfortunately.
All right. So my final question is, and this is an important one, so it might take a little bit of thought. What do you think are some effective ways to reduce vandalism? And I know Paul gave one, beat that ass. But what are some other ways of effective ways to reduce vandalism? Words, Miss I Love Graffiti.
To reduce vandalism?
Yup. Let's say you're the police chief.
Know.
You're the police chief or the no, forget the police chief. You are a community activist, an association president, whatever it is, and you have very good ties with the local police chief. You have ties with the local councilman and the local business association, right? And other community associations. What do you think could be done to reduce vandalism? And let's say you got connection to the school as well because you're a neighborhood person, right? What could be done?
I couldn't hear you because my phone was breaking up.
Must be an Android. But anyway, so what do you think are some ways to reduce vandalism? Some effective ways, knowing that you have these connections as well. I threw that in there. You have connections to the school because you're a community person. You have connections to the local police chief. You have connections to the councilman. You have connections to the business association. You have connections. What are you going to do? Put on a hot seat today.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, some of you.
Okay. Well, I told you it cut out for a moment, so I couldn't hear you
Okay.
at all. But
But
I would
she's
say
not going to do
call for
nothing. She
greater.
likes vandalism.
Yeah, like I would say call for greater enforcement.
Okay. So you would push the police chief to get out to his troops to say, hey, look out for this. Start arresting people, issuing citations, whatever it is.
No, I don't think people should be arrested for something vandalism when we're talking about art. I'm gonna say art.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. You know why? Because she keeps saying art. That is the problem.
Art.
That is the problem. That is the problem.
I'm not talking about they just tag their name. I'm talking about when it is actually art.
If it ain't where it's supposed to be, it's graffiti. It's vandalism. Period.
Graffiti is art.
Put that ass in art school.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Give me my
round them up, and put them in a art class.
Okay.
Have more camps and stuff. But some of these people are too old for all that stuff.
If they that old and they out there graffiti and stuff, they need to be going to jail. If
JJ was 30 years old.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
All right, so let me. Where's the lady that was popping in on here?
She said it's all relative. Do you really want to hear her?
I do. I want to hear what her solution is.
Her name is Kenneth.
Kenneth.
Yes.
You have the mic. I want to know what you're going to do as a community activist or leader to help reduce vandalism.
First of all, I think in Baltimore City, you need to find this dude named R. Long because he's everywhere.
He sure is. Look, he in the county too.
R. Long was. I don't know if it's
since the early
1900s. I need to know because that was solved part of the problem.
Half of it.
But honestly, I think you have to. I remember being a little kid. My grandmother said they used to have community block things, and they would go block by block cleaning up that particular neighborhood. And you honestly have to start within your neighborhood. You have to get people to take pride in their neighborhoods, and that will help get rid of those issues. Because what?
No.
Okay. So you're saying community engagement, so they can keep them busy.
Community engagement is a huge one.
Okay.
Because if I teach
definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think she's really big on community stuff.
Okay.
Now, I would like to talk from a law enforcement perspective, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure how much time we have left. Like, you and I learned, during our careers that people who are doing illegal acts like to do it in privacy. So I would focus on areas that you have a lot of vandalism slash art being performed, and we would do. I think you have to improve the lighting. Okay, so if
Yes.
this thing is going on at night, you know I'm not lying, psycho.
Right.
If it's going, they need privacy. If they know they doing something wrong, if they're doing it where they're supposed to do it, like we have discussed, then they don't care about the light.
Right.
But if they're doing it illegally, so I think we have to improve lighting. Um, as law enforcement, we need to encourage our businesses and even our residences to like put up security cameras. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's something as small as a ring camera on the front door for our residents and for the community, they can put up, cameras and stuff like that. And the third thing, which is actually more community oriented than it is, oh, actually, it's more government oriented than it is anything. The third thing that I would do is, as soon as that crap go up, take it down.
Yep.
Don't leave it up because they're doing it for an audience.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have that audience, take it down. Boop. As soon as you see it, someone calls it in, broop, it's gone.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you can pay me to do that. I'll do it.
So
I'm done.
a lot of the things that you said is actually how they tell communities how to handle vandalism and graffiti. And again, it's always lighting and landscaping, getting people involved, community engagement, giving them an outlet. Sometimes I think Tasha had said something earlier about that. Sometimes people don't know the ramifications of their actions. So, maybe educate them. Also, I think you need to increase enforcement. I'm always for that. Start handing out fines and get the community service in there. As soon as it go up, take it down. Don't give them an audience. Let them know that this is not going to stay, so you're wasting your time. And I do like the idea of when communities give. Not I'm gonna say communities. They have certain areas that allows them to show their art. Like, have that like you said in Baltimore City or Toronto or whatever. I think that's a good idea. But you have to have everybody involved. That means the business community. That means the residential community. You have to have the police involved, and you have to have the school. And the school can easily have a little, seminar or something that's taught in school to say this is why we shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, and this is the reasons. These are also the penalties for doing these certain things. So I think it takes a multi-pronged effort to do that, and I think it starts with people actually acknowledging that this is not acceptable, this is not beneficial, this is not art unless it's in a certain place. It's still it's vandalism, it's a crime. So, but that's my closing statement.
Well, like Paul said, maybe that will get the school to actually start an art program. Maybe.
Yeah, and then
Like you say, instead of the school, maybe start an art program because a lot of schools don't even have art anymore.
Well,
Just,
how can they
just
have an
don't
art
hire,
program?
just don't hire Tasha as the teacher though.
Yeah, because they're gonna be able to do what the heck they want.
Please don't hire
But-
Tasha as teacher
but
because
all
she'll
of
take
them-
them on a field trip outside.
To find a clean slate.
But my thing is, unfortunately, they won't be able to have those art programs in school to teach that particular thing because they're too busy managing behaviors.
yes,
So that's a whole nother thing.
yes,
My
Yeah.
kids in kindergarten, I got a hellion in the class.
She's starting a whole new topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah, just to back for what she said. Now, the incentives. When I say get the business community involved, maybe the business community can say, well, let's take a collection. Let's have this monthly donation that we put to the schools to say, hey, if your community is clean of these things, then maybe we can sponsor a block party of some sort or give some incentives in the schools. Hey, if you wanna express yourself in an artful way, we'll give you a canvas and we'll give you some notoriety for that. Maybe things like that can happen, but it takes how you say, it takes a village. Yeah.
Right. And if you have a block party, you can get those people that we have on community service to clean up all the trash they're going to throw out.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. So I need a word of the day. Well, I'll give them the word of the day. The word of the day is art.
Oh Lord.
The word of the day is art. So for those listeners, or actually those subscribers, because I'm going to actually focus on subscribers, if you get the word of the day for each episode during the month, you have the opportunity to win a monthly prize. And that all that means is emailing us at unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com. And the first person who sends in those words of the day for the month will actually win the prize. And the prizes are random, and it might be anything from a household item to tickets to the comedy club, which I'm big on. I like comedy clubs, and I think people should enjoy that as well. So I want to thank you guys for chiming in, and hopefully you will, check out the next one at 7:00 when we go over part 2, and we're going to have a part 3. So thank you.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered with Psycho 4081. Big respect to our guests for keeping it real, and love to every listener rocking with us week after week. This conversation ain't over yet. Stay locked in for the next episode coming soon. Until next time, keep it unfiltered with Psycho 4081.